Hello and welcome to today's lesson. So, we're now going to be looking at one of the fine points of grammar on the SAT that, like many of these, is either distorted in everyday speech or overlooked, but that the test will expect you to know the difference between who and whom. So, as always, we're going to have a strategy here that'll simplify all of this, and then several different practice questions that can give you a sense of how all of this should be executed when you do get to the test itself. So, first of all, take a look at the following sentences and see if you can eyeball these and determine whether you should be using who or whether you should be using whom. So, first one, the different executives blank espouse these ideas, formed a search committee. So you're going to need one of them to refer back to some group or some person. Second one, participants to, and again, blank here, the first question was directed, were initially quite agitated. Now, the idea with who and whom is each of those will need to refer back to a noun that is a person of some kind. In contrast, usually to things like which or that. But the question then becomes, okay, we know that who and whom are referring to people, so which one do you go with? If you can't decide, then you simply might not be familiar with the fundamental difference here. So let's take a look at all that. In terms of using who, the main thing to keep in mind is that who is going to be a subject pronoun. Now, what does this mean? You're probably familiar with this from working with subject-verb agreement if you've seen that presentation or looked at those questions, but a subject pronoun, quite simply, is someone or something taking an action. Here, someone, because who will refer to people. And what you're going to do is find the appropriate verb. So, again, enormously simple example. You have the sentence say, the boy who walked to the store was not on time. And who walked to the store? The boy was taking an action. So you refer back to him using who. You could also think of this in terms of questions. Who was walking to the store? The boy was walking to the store. So those are things to look for there. You're just going to figure out, okay, if it's who, you're going to need a verb. You're going to need a subject-verb agreement. And now whom is the other grammatical unit that contrasts with this. Whom will be your object pronoun? And normally it's something that is positioned in a certain way or that is impacted in a certain way. So you can think of this. The boy to whom the gift was given was ungrateful. The gift was given to him, to the boy. Wasn't actually doing anything. He was receiving a gift. So you'd say to whom. Or, you could take another one, kind of cruel sentence, but, well, the boy whom the ball hit. Well, whom did the ball hit? The boy. It's, again, quite obviously not a good thing, but a boy who got hit by a baseball or something instead of actually doing anything would be positioned or impacted. And so what you'll do is find one of a couple things. Find a preposition that'll clue you into this. Find a context of being influenced rather than actually taking a verb. And you'll get used to this after a little while. So there are a couple ways that you can choose. One, again, just look for verbs. So we're returning here back to our two sentences. The different executives, well, did the different executives do something? Actually, yes, because in the rest of the sentence, they formed a search committee, but in the phrase we need to link up, they espoused or promoted something. So who espoused would probably make sense. But in the second sentence, look for verbs. Okay, participants, well, there are verbs here, but the participants is our main noun. And participants, something was directed to them. So what you're going to get there is the idea participants to probably whom in this case. And so different executives who espoused. Participants to whom the first question was directed. So that is one way that you could go about solving these. Admittedly, it may not be the easiest thing to do if you're just getting used to who versus whom in terms of the distinction. Here's another option. That if you're not quite clear which of these pronouns to go with, use another pronoun that may be more approachable and then check it out against how the sentence is constructed. So, okay, how might you do this? Well, first of all, let's return to the sentences that we have going here. The different executives, well, the pronouns that would fit that will be they or them. Same thing with the second sentence, participants. And look at constructions. Different executives, well, of course, if you say they in the final version of this, you would have something that's grammatically bad, but you would say they espouse these ideas. So you can obviously see it takes a verb, and yes, they, which will then later be interchangeable with who, because they is your subject. In the second one, them, participants, well, the first question was directed. That's our construction. It directed to whom? To them, to these people, to this group. So that's obviously an object. And so, if you treat the sentence in this way, just get the pronoun that's more approachable and go back. Remember, though, that one thing, and this is a common misconception, that we have seen is who can be singular or plural, same with whom. That number does not actually matter in either of these two pronouns. So you could say the boy who was walking. You could say the students who were walking. And it will not make any difference. The usual misconception is people go into who versus whom usage thinking that who is the singular and whom is the plural, maybe because the end ends with the same letter as the word them. Doesn't matter. It just is not accurate. So just watch for this. With number, you don't have to think too much about these. And now, practice questions. So, take a minute, look at the next 3 sentences, and figure out, can you fill in the right word, either who or whom, for each of the sentences that we're looking at? So here are the 3. Take a little time with them. Remember that you are going to be checking for grammar and seeing what does or does not fit a subject-verb combination, or has some other context clue, like a preposition. And then we'll take a look at the correct answers. Take about a minute or 2 with these, as usual, and then we'll talk. Few more seconds here. Then we'll give the answers a look. Okay. And now the correct answers. So, let's see how well you did with these. That, again, here are our sentences. And for the first one, what remember, you should be looking for are verb constructions or, some other kind of construction, preposition, description that would signal there isn't a verb. But here we have, you keep reading, signed up to volunteer. So the students, yes, who signed up to volunteer would make sense there because those students are performing an action and you can refer back to them. For the next one, the lecturer, well, then blank, the attendees were most. Okay, is this lecturer going to be performing an action? Well, later in the sentence, yes, was a specialist, but that's not what we're looking for. Instead, we get this phrase, the attendees were most eager to hear from, and it's that from that clues you in that it should be whom, because we have someone not who's performing an action in the nearby construction, but some other group is thinking, okay, this person is important. So that's the idea. And then the third one of these, Thomas Pynchon, an author about whom little is known, turns out to be the correct answer, and you can get that really fast of course, if you see that about, little is known about, well, about what person, about him, about Thomas Pynchon. So you can see that you need an object pronoun to fit that preposition, and this is actually a good one for seeing the clues really fast, and also for kind of working through this the way that we talked about, maybe filling in like a pronoun. Is it he? Is it him? Well, you never say about he, you always say about him. So, remember, look for the clues. Signed up, verb. That for the second one, this phrase indicating that there is an impact, and then the preposition from, and then the final one, about. So always keep these oriented towards construction and context clues. And remember, you'll get to see all of this very quickly in the context of fully formatted passages if you check out our SAT books. So we currently have the SAT Guide to Grammar Strategy. This is a brand new release, and it's got plenty of pronoun questions, who, whom, and lots of others. Or if you're ready to put your skills to the test, try the SAT Writing New Grammar Tests. It's a book that has loads of questions, 8 fully formatted tests, fully updated to fit the test's recent subtleties. So, you're welcome to visit us online at prepvantagetutoring.com. Classes and lessons are just getting started for, late spring, early summer just now. So, we look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to sharing more tips on SAT grammar as we keep going, and have a great day.